Okay, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, good morning. Good morning. Um, man, there's probably a lot to cover here. I just want to say, not MMA related, talking about the C1 here. This is the 65 C1. There's a new update available, 3.11 dot something or another. I have not done it yet, but that's not what we're talking about today. Uh, Briefly, I will tell you what the meat of today is going to be about, or this little session here. The meat's going to be about Israel Adesanya losing his title belt this weekend. But before we get there, kind of on the same topic, because Izzy's involved, but a little bit different, we're going to talk about USADA. All right. So I guess before I say that, I should also say anybody that wants to come in here and talk UFC 276, I'm the link is up there in the chat. Hey, that's what it is. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, let's go. USADA. USADA gives Israel Adesanya a jacket. Okay, for this media week. And what do you know what that jacket's for? 50 clean USADA tests. All right. Where do you want me to start here? I don't know where to start. Let's start with our guy, Derek, moreplaces.com, who's usually, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he's pointed out a lot of deficiencies in their testing method as what they're looking for um, in the way of metabolites, I believe, that are obviously produced when somebody uses PEDs or external hormones, whatever. I mean, I listen to More Plates, More Days, not me. I don't know. But I don't think USADA's tests are, I think they're a lot like the NFL PED test or NBA PED test. And that's not good. Let me tell you something else about the NFL, say. Most of the NFL's testing is done in training camp or right around that time of the year. Mostly, if you're on an NFL roster, especially if you're one of the stars, someone will come to you from the training staff and say, "Hey, um, this year they're going to be coming through here doing random testing in a couple weeks. Make sure you're good," or just telling you, just saying. If you're a UFC fighter, like I don't know, Israel Adesanya, who spends all of his time, most of his time outside the US. Okay. He lives in New Zealand, trains in New Zealand. He's all over the world doing whatever. Good for him. I'm not hating, but he doesn't live here. So USADA's not flying to New Zealand every so often just to give homeboy a test. No, they're just testing him like they do everybody else before the events. Now, if you're a champion, if you're involved in a championship bout in the UFC, you're getting tested before and after every single fight because you're champion. If you're just in the rankings, let's say you're 10 or above, like 10 to 15, and then there's unranking beyond that, they're not worried about what you're doing. They don't care. So they just randomly test guys here and there. Probably, I don't know, something like that. Maybe they test everybody all the time for every event. I just don't think that that's the way it happens. So USADA's testing itself is no count. It's a farce. It doesn't matter because they're probably not looking for the correct things anyway. As well, we can always be sure that I heard my phone do something somewhere. Anyhow, we can always be sure that the athletes are going to be maybe a half step above the testing officials, right? So that's one. Another big problem with USADA, while I'm on USADA, which is the biggest joke in professional sports, besides the fighter pay in the UFC, they don't test like Amanda Nunes, for instance. How long did she spend out of like in her earlier career training, doing whatever? Not in the US. Glover Teixeira, he's 43 years old. Did you see the performance he just had? Hey, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm just saying when you spend all your time in, I don't know, Brazil or somewhere in South America, like, I don't know, 6, 8 months out of the year, and you know you have a fight and a date where you're going to come up here and be tested, you can pretty much be ready for it. All of these fighters do. You know, if you go to Thailand, in Thailand, man, I did not know this. I did not know this. In Thailand, you can go walk to your local pharmacy and purchase over the counter testosterone, over the counter hormones, whatever you're looking for. Now, does it make sense why a lot of fighters like to go to Thailand and train, besides the fact that they probably like to hire little lady boys because that's what they're into? I mean, I'm just saying, it's a little weird to me. Anyway, USADA's a joke, man. Their testing's a joke, and they don't test the athletes enough. So even if they did test the athletes enough, their testing's still a joke. Let's move on from USADA. There's something really big here, okay? We got to talk about it. Israel Adesanya is set to defend his title once again, and all I hear from all the pundits, from all the people that cover MMA here on YouTube, Jared Cannonier doesn't have a chance. I disagree with that statement, but that's not even what I'm on about. I'm going to get there. Jared Cannonier doesn't have a chance. Izzy's just at his peak. He's never been this good. He's just dismantling guys. Unless your name is Jan Blachowicz, you can't dismantle that guy. But whatever. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I used to be on the Izzy train real hard, man. I knew that guy was going to be a future champion. I was like, if he can shore up his takedown game, which I don't believe he has. I don't believe he has. Okay, it's just these fighters, they're kind of dumb. And you can train all you want to, but when you get in that cage, man, all that shit goes out the window. Unless you're Izzy, unless you're upper echelon fighter with a high fight IQ, all of that training goes out the window, and you just do what naturally comes to you. You're not thinking, let me step to my right to cut this guy off from moving off the cage. You're not thinking that. You're like, oh God, he's gonna hit me. He's gonna hit me. I gotta be ready to parry and counter, whatever the case may be. We know Izzy doesn't mind backing up to the fence, setting people up all the time. So, all of this Cannonier talk, I don't like it. Cannonier has the power of heavyweight, plain and simple. I know. He got knocked out by, big white boy heavyweight. I can't remember his name. Josh Rosenhorn or something. I'm sorry. I can't remember the name. That's a heavyweight. Anybody can get knocked out of heavyweight, y'all. He goes down to light heavyweight, has like a couple of fights, has maybe a win or two, and a loss or two, honestly, at lightweight. Okay. So then he drops down again to 185, and he's had some pretty solid success here. Just follow his timeline. I don't need to go all over it. But here's what I think a lot of people are missing. Cannonier is so powerful at 185. This dude changed his entire body composition. Now, we could easily say that Cannonier's on PEDs. If you're up in the upper echelon of mixed martial arts, you're probably on PEDs. But I will contend this. Coming from heavyweight, if you're a heavy man, say you're a male or female out here walking around, you weigh 250 pounds, 300 pounds. Man, that's a lot. You just look like a big old fatty. What people don't realize walking around out here is how much muscle and strength it takes to carry all that weight around. Sorry, there's a bunch of things going crazy over here in the background. I think the dogs are starting to bark every day. But anyway, it takes a lot of strength to carry around all that weight. Okay. So Cannonier, I don't know how he does this through the UFC or whatever, but he changes his diet. He slims down to light heavyweight and down to 185. We can be sure he walks around at 210, 225. I mean, the man is big. He is dense as well. These muscles aren't just for show. They're not just like creatine-filled, water-filled muscles or something like that. This man is dense. He is strong and powerful. And I really think that's why you see part of the reason you see such great body composition is because for his life, he carried around all that extra weight. and he was athletic and mobile during that time. So when we get rid of all this extra weight, then we have this great physique coming out. Now he could be on PEDs too, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. I don't know. I have no reason to say he is, except his rock hard body composition. But anyway, looky here. Oh God, here comes the dogs. Please, why do you have the dogs in here? They are crazy. Oh no. Yeah, let them out. No, get out of here. This is terrible. You're a terrible person. Get out of here. Love you. Okay. Hey, my guy. CJ, look, and as soon as they go out, I hear the plot hound just Big John Joan news the other day. What was that? That he's coming back in Dana's big news was John Jones will be fighting at the end of the year. That was his big. Correct me if I'm wrong. CG, love you, brother. Tell me if I'm CG. Also, there's the link right there, dog. I'm just saying you can use that link, brother. I think that's what Dana said, right? He's coming back at the end of the year. So that puts him way above the Ngannou timeline, right? So yeah, it's probably going to be Stipe. And I don't want to get into how I feel about John Jones. We can get into that a little bit later. But we got to get back to Cannonier. And so everybody, even my guy, MMA Guru, listen, MMA Guru, dude, I like you. I like your stuff. I disagree with you, though. Maybe 60-40, 50-50. And this is a big one. Let's see. It's a done deal. He's back. Just fighting. Just figuring out if Stipe ever. I believe it's Stipe. I believe it's Stipe. So I hope. Yeah, it's not going to be Francis. I don't think, because I think Francis's timeline is like he's not even going to be able to fight till April or May of next year, I would think. I think he can get back to full contact training in December, late December at that. And that's around Christmas time. So you wouldn't expect him to do that. Let's talk about, real quick, all the MMA influencers, all the MMA athletes themselves, most of them are picking Adesanya as though he is unbeatable. I find, you know what, they're probably not. They're a little wrong. Nobody's undefeatable, or excuse me, unbeatable. But, you know, we can't just look at skill sets, guys. We cannot do that. If we just look at skill set and where someone is at the career, where the momentum is maybe, you know, for their career, that's a good indicator, but that's not all of it. I'm a big proponent of listening to these guys pre-fight press conference, post-fight press conference. I like to see where these people are mentally. And let me tell you what I was absolutely shocked to see at yesterday's UFC 276 press conference. Now, we got all the guys on stage, man. We got everybody. By the way, if you're looking for fight of the year, or probably could be fight of the night, Robbie Lawler and Bam Bam, that's going to be a dumb fight. And I got Bam Bam. Just saying, don't make predictions. That's what I see. Anyway, we got everybody on stage here, man. Sean O'Malley, Pedro Munoz, okay, but here's the crux of it. We have Jared Cannonier. We have, Alex Pereira. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. We have Sean Strickland. Okay, all contenders. And then we got Izzy. The troll of all trolls, Izzy. Always looking cool, always staying calm, always saying something slick. And he was doing that yesterday for the most part. But I did keep seeing him do his little wrist thing, pull his little shirt sleeves down. He was very uncomfortable. And Izzy got trolled. He got trolled hard by Sean Strickland. He got upset. He got real mad. I've never seen him get so mad before in a press conference. And Yeah, he was really upset. He started talking to Cannonier. He started talking at one point to Alex Pereira himself. He's definitely John with Sean Strickland. Like his mind is being pulled three different directions, right? And it's just not, I think the pressure is getting to him. You heard it here first. It's going to be and new. Let me tell you how this happens now. Now that we know that there's a huge mental and stressful situation going on, he's being pulled from all different sides, talking about Izzy. And then we listen to Jared, we listen to Cannonier, and he is very measured, very articulate. That's what he has to say. Very focused. Yeah. So, how does Cannonier go about beating Izzy? Well, I think the first round looks like this. I think the first round, Cannonier plays the distance and timing game, trying to read Izzy. I think that's a mistake. I don't believe he should do that. So let's just say that Cannonier has the fight or the game plan that I would implement from round one, the beginning. There is no feel out process. We cannot let Izzy establish his timing or his reach, be it his feet or his hands. We cannot let him do this. So how do we do this? We push that big son of a gun right back, or that tall son of a gun. We push him right back to that cage. Cannonier is a big, strong man. He is dense. He can take shots. I'm not saying he should or needs to. He doesn't need to have that mindset, but he needs to use his strength and his size and his forward momentum to back Izzy right into that corner. Now, what is Izzy going to do? Izzy's not going to fight off the cage in the beginning rounds. He needs to develop his timing and rhythm and distance. So he will circle out to the left or right. It is up to Jared Cannonier at this point. He cannot let Izzy circle out to the left or right. He has to cut him off and keep him against the cage and beat him, wear him down for a round or two. Hang on him, knee him in the legs, get whatever shots he can on the inside, elbow. Then come the mid-second or third round, Jared needs to open up with those leg kicks, man. Now let Izzy have some distance and attack his front leg, whichever one it may be. If he switches stances, whatever. Attack that front leg. Now he's tired. Now you can attack his mobility. And then we're going in for the kill. We don't want it to go to the championship rounds. Cannonier will not win a decision against Izzy Adesanya, more than likely. I think he's got to dictate where the fight goes. He has to use his power and he has to use his fight IQ to make sure that he stays in a lane that is optimal for him and his style. What I don't want to see Cannonier do is be measured and patient, which he is most of his fights, okay? Granted, he doesn't just go out there winging shots. He is measured and patient. I don't need him to do, I need to see more volume. This fight does not need to go into rounds 4 and 5. You need to think of this as a 3-round fight. Jared Cannonier, push Adesanya back to the cage. You will beat him there. If it goes outside the second round, attack that leg, man. I mean, attack the leg the whole fight, but I preferably get him up against that cage. Don't let him get out. Don't let him circle out. That's the way it's done. That forward pressure has got to be applied. You cannot play Izzy's kickboxing game. I would not advise it. Even though I think Cannonier is a fine kickboxer. I just would advise it. That's what I have to say about that. That's really the only fight I have to talk about. I just thought it was such a big, I just think so many people are, you got to watch that pre-post fight present. You got to know where these guys are at mentally. And I think a lot of people are discounting Jared Cannonier right now. So I'm not a betting man. But if I was, I got Cannonier, TKO, second round, maybe third round. I'm probably more comfortable with the third round. But I think Cannonier's got to dominate this fight from the start. So that's what I am on about here this morning. We can all take a little break. I have some things to do. I'm sure y'all have some things to do. We're at just after 10 o'clock Eastern time, 10 a.m. So it's Friday as well. I hope all you guys have a great. You know what? I'm going to end it with this. I'm going to end it with this. This is the one UFC card that I have thought about purchasing. Excuse me. I don't know. Okay, maybe there's been 2 cards I've wanted to purchase in the last 6 months. Scratch that. 8 months. Since November of last year, there's been 2 cards that I've said to myself, I would pay money for that card. This is that card I would pay money for. However, $75 for a pay-per-view is too much when you're paying the fighters what you are. So I'm not going to do it. But believe you me, the highlights, the articles, the results will be available immediately after whatever match you're talking about. If you want to see who the winner of Robbie Lawler and Bam Bam is, after the fight, there'll be a whole article about it. Of course, you got to take somebody else's word for it, but $75 UFC, that's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the UFC's eating the UFC's been eating itself. The UFC's been eating itself. But now the UFC has to contend with the fact that the best fighters in the world right now are coming out of Northern Europe, or that region of the world, European region, Northern European. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to one championships, but that stuff is crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here, man. UFC 276 is gonna be huge. I'm so super pumped for it. I don't know that I'm going to pay all that money for that. So, UFC, do something about your prices, man. Bare minimum, give more money to your fighters. All right, I've rambled on long enough. If you guys have any questions or comments, good, bad, or different, you can post them right down there below. They are greatly encouraged, greatly appreciated. So I think we can wrap a bow on this one now. As always, thank you for listening. Be good. Be safe. Boom.